Every now and again I like to just produce a quick video, and basically this is my comments on the comments. Okay, in the series about me building the Land Cruiser 105 in Africa and the recent video about the terrible state of the transfer gearbox.
Sadly, this is what was giving you your two-wheel drive only on the 105.
A lot of people have said, oh, that's just a good mod gone wrong. And I have a problem with that. I'm Andrew St Pierre White. Join me as I share my passion for building four-wheel drive trucks and then travelling to the remotest parts of the world. The 105 was built with both part-time four-wheel drive and full-time four-wheel drive. The part-time four-wheel drive basically had standard transmission, transfer gearbox driving power to the rear axle, and with a lever you can engage the front axle. It also had freewheeling front hubs, so you can disengage the front prop shaft and front axle when driving in two-wheel drive, because those drive parts of the drivetrain are not needed when in two-wheel drive. The four-wheel drive, permanent four-wheel drive 105 had a very simple system, center differential with drive going to the differential, splitting the load from the front and the back at the same time, so you get the wind up between front and back axles when driving on a firm surface is taken up by the differential in the middle, which can be locked to give you the same as it would be in a part-time four-wheel drive vehicle with the vehicle engaged in four-wheel drive and the hubs locked. That's the basis. Okay. Now, some people have taken the full-time four-wheel drive system in the 105s and converted them to part-time. They've done this by doing something in the transfer gearbox so that it becomes a two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive system and adding freewheel front hubs. Why have they done this? Now, I know that many of you watching this are going to disagree with me here, okay? Because you think that, and forgive me if you've proved me wrong, but I accept that, and please comment if you disagree with me. Just tell me you disagree with me, that's absolutely fine. But this is why I think that the modification from a full-time four-wheel drive to a part-time four-wheel drive is a pointless and utter and complete waste of time. Not only is it a complete waste of time and a waste of money, it makes the vehicle worse. Why is it that the more expensive versions have full-time four-wheel drive and the cheaper versions have two-wheel drive? Why is that? Because permanent four-wheel drive vehicles handle better. I've actually read some comments where you say it handles far better in two-wheel drive. No, it doesn't. It can't. How can that be? That's impossible. It cannot handle better in part-time two-wheel drive, because with four-wheel drive you get neutral steering. Ask any rally driver and he will tell you that a four-wheel drive vehicle is far more neutral on the steering, which means it's far safer. It just plain grips better. End of story. Okay, so to say it handles better, no, it doesn't. Okay, I drove, for example, the Range Rover had a permanent four-wheel drive system. I actually took the front prop shaft off mine once, locked the center differential and drove it in two-wheel drive. It was terrible to drive. That was an extreme case. Yes, it was. It was an extreme case because I have driven this 105 that I'm building in Africa in two-wheel drive. I drove it all the way from George, where I picked it up, all the way to Cape Town in two-wheel drive, and it felt fine. It felt fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Did it feel better? It didn't feel any different because I was driving on dry tarmac. Dry tarmac, full-time four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive, not a lot of difference. Some, but not a lot of difference, not a significant difference. The instant it starts raining, the instant you go onto a gravel road, vast difference. So there's a safety thing. Second B, tyre wear. Part-time, I'm about to buy my 17th four-wheel drive vehicle. Tyre wear on part-time four-wheel drive vehicles is significantly higher than it is on part-time four-wheel drive vehicles. Part-time four-wheel drive vehicles, you constantly have to do rotations. Full-time four-wheel drive vehicles, hardly necessary. Okay, tyre wear, there you go. You've now got tyre wear increase in tyre wear. So you're spending all this money to do the conversion and to make it a part-time four-wheel drive, and the cost is the conversion plus tyre wear plus safety. Now here's the massive elephant in the room: fuel consumption. The claim is that there's a big savings on fuel. Rubbish. Nonsense. It's not. It's just plain not true. Okay, now this is why, and now you might disagree with me, and that's fine if you do, but here is my evidence. I've been driving vehicles for a very long time, and I remember the first time I wanted to know this, it was a friend of mine who was driving in Zambia to Lusaka to a film shoot, and it was a 4-hour drive, and he was doing it every single day for about 10 days. And when he was doing this, and we were talking, and I said, do me a favor, put the transmission in four-wheel drive, because the Pajero, of course, one of those unique vehicles where you can select two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, four-wheel drive with an open center differential, like it would be in the Land Cruiser driving normally. Okay, so you had that choice, and you could just click it with a lever, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and remain on the tarmac in four-wheel drive. And he did it, and he showed me the figures. There was no difference in fuel consumption. There was no difference. The difference in consumption over the four-wheel drive and two-wheel drive legs were so inconsistent we could not make a conclusion of anyway, whether it was more or less. We couldn't. I drove my Land Cruiser, my first Land Cruiser was a 79, it was a single cab converted into a double cab, and it had the 1HZ engine, the same engine as my current 105, and it had part-time four-wheel drive. And I would drive up from Johannesburg up to Pretoria, where in the videos I take the 105, exactly the same route, and I would do it quite often. And in that vehicle, I remember I had to do 2 trips within about 3 months of each other. And on the way up from Cape Town to Johannesburg, I loaded it full of stock because I was selling books and DVDs and everything, and we had a big trade show. So I'd go up for the trade show, take lots and lots of stock with me, and I'd come back down. And I had to do 2 trips within about 3 months. And I decided, hang on, I'm going to do the first trip with the locked, with the front hubs locked. It's still in a two-wheel drive, obviously, so that piece of drivetrain is still spinning. So the amount of energy being used by the engine to rotate all its parts is exactly the same. The only difference is these two things are spinning in the gearbox, and when it's in locked four-wheel drive, it's like this, and when it's not in locked four-wheel drive, it's like this. They're still rotating. The amount of energy being used is identical. Again, the difference was so small I could not draw a conclusion to that. There was no conclusion there that one was better than the other. So I concluded that the savings in two-wheel drive are so small they're not even really worth considering. I did it very, very recently with my troop carrier with the V8. And I came back from the Connie Sue, and I've been monitoring my fuel consumption during the life of the vehicle. I wouldn't say anal about it, but I do, keep records. I drove it all the way back with the front hubs on lock, but my lever in two-wheel drive. And I measured the consumption. Guess what? I got the best consumption I have ever got with that vehicle. Which means that there were other factors in that reason why I got really good consumption coming back that were more significant than whatever extra fuel was being used by me running the front prop shaft and drivetrain. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a myth. It's a myth. And I will forever believe that it is an absolute myth, because whenever I try it, I'm sorry, there's the difference in fuel, if there is some, is so small, you spend all that money on a two-wheel drive conversion to a four-wheel drive vehicle, you would have to do hundreds of thousands of kilometers, maybe the life of the entire car, its entire lifespan, to pay for ruining your safety, for ruining your tyre wear, and for ruining the car's handling. Sorry guys, it is a complete, pointless waste of time, a mod that is based on a myth. Thank you for listening to my little rant. There you go, there you have it.